11 Feb. 65. Dearest Suzie, how are you and the boys getting along? I suppose you know how things are over here. We are on a continuous 30-minute alert. It is pretty rough right now. I sent your ring off this morning. If you don't have it already, you will get it pretty soon. I'm sorry that I couldn't get it to you by Valentine's Day, but I didn't miss it by much. I hope you like it and that it fits. I think Lewis did a fine job picking it out. I wouldn't have done any better, I'm sure. I would like for you, if you can, to get by this month without any money from me. If you have to put anything off till payday, do it. I'll be sending you a check around $75 payday. And if they pay me for W-2 for half a month, it will be more than that. This promotion will mean a $40 a month raise for us. But I want to save some this month, so I can pay for the repair of the camera and get it in the mail to you so you can get me some slides. And don't worry about working this camera. It is all automatic. Town is off limits to us now. It has been since the trouble started in Pleiku, and no telling how long it will be before we can get down into town. Did you hear anything on the radio about the trouble at Sóc Trăng? They were mortared the other night, but no one was hurt. They were lucky. I'm sorry I couldn't send you and the boys a Valentine. The PX doesn't have any, and we couldn't get into town, although I'm sure they didn't have any either. But anyway, I think you know that you, Billy, Brian, and Brett are my only Valentines. I love you all very much. Sincerely, Bill. In this letter, Poppy mentions the attack on Sóc Trăng, which was an important military location during the Vietnam War, primarily because of its airfield. The Sóc Trăng Army Airfield was used heavily by the U.S. Army aviation units, especially helicopter squadrons. It was strategically important due to its location in the Mekong Delta, where the Viet Cong had strongholds and often launched attacks. In early February 1965, the Viet Cong launched a series of attacks across South Vietnam, including the attack on Pleiku, which led to a U.S. retaliation known as Operation Flaming Dart. These attacks signaled an escalation of the war, pushing the U.S. closer to full-scale involvement. Poppy's letter mentions that Sóc Trăng was mortared, but that no one was hurt. This suggests a typical Viet Cong tactic, harassing fire on military installations to disrupt operations, damage equipment, and shake morale. Mortar attacks were often quick and unpredictable, forcing soldiers to remain on high alert, which aligns with him mentioning that they were on continuous 30-minute alert. Why was it attacked? Well, the airfield at Sóc Trăng supported helicopter operations, which were vital for reconnaissance, troop transport, and medevac missions. The Viet Cong would have wanted to weaken these capabilities. It was also close to VC-controlled areas. The Mekong Delta had a strong Viet Cong presence, making U.S. outposts and airfields prime targets for attacks. Even if the attack didn't cause significant damage, it would have kept soldiers like Bill on edge, as he expresses in his letter. The fear of a larger attack would have worn on morale. Poppy's tone talking about this attack suggests growing frustration and exhaustion. He mentions that town is off limits, meaning increased restrictions for soldiers who are already under stress. He also talks about how it's difficult to relax because they know they are overdue to be hit, a feeling that would have been common among soldiers stationed at air bases like Sóc Trăng. He also mentions the PX, which stands for Post Exchange. This was essentially a military-run store on bases where service members could buy goods, kind of like a general store for the military. PXs sold essentials like toiletries, snacks, and gifts, but also larger items like electronics and even jewelry. They were a small slice of home, offering American goods that brought comfort in a war zone. Things like Coca-Cola, cigarettes, magazines, and even vinyl records. But the PX wasn't just about shopping. It was also a social hub. Soldiers would stop in to browse, chat, or just take a brief escape from the pressures of duty. Some PXs even had barbershops, tailors, or small restaurants like snack bars, or later, even fast food chains. Since Bill mentions not being able to buy a Valentine's gift, it's a reminder that even the PX had its limitations. When town was off limits, soldiers lost access to more personal shopping options, making it harder to send meaningful gifts home. And not all PXs were the same. Bigger bases had better stocked stores, while remote locations might have had only the bare essentials. In some cases, higher-ranking officers had access to better goods, leaving enlisted men with fewer options. The photo I chose for today depicts a hand-drawn sign from Sóc Trăng, featuring 5 different graphics. It has text that reads 121st Aviation Company. Welcome to Sóc Trăng Army International Aerial Port. Elevation plus or minus 2 feet. The famed Sóc Trăng Tigers. I'm Alex Lowy, and I hope you have enjoyed listening to this episode of Dearest Suzie, and receiving messages from the past that my poppy wrote exactly 60 years ago. I sincerely appreciate your time and interest. Please consider following the podcast on your preferred platform, and if you're enjoying it, I kindly ask that you take the time to rate the show and leave a review. Also, please follow the project on YouTube, X, and Instagram. All likes, comments, shares, and reviews will help grow the reach of this story. The links for these things should be in the description of this episode. Please feel free to email me at dearestsuziepodcast@gmail.com if you have anything you'd like to say. I'd love to chat or to hear about your stories as well. Thank you for listening, and God bless.